After Ketel Marte was awarded with the number one spot on the best second baseman in the MLB list, Diamondbacks fans eagerly awaited the results for shortstop, but were sorely disappointed by what they found.
You are Locked On Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up and welcome to the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast, the show where we talk nothing but the D-backs Monday through Friday, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network. I'm your lifelong D-backs fan and overly obsessed host, Daynen Biggs. Today we are talking about the top 10 shortstop list, according to Shredder, that has been posted by MLB Network. We're going to talk about where Geraldo Perdomo fits onto that list. We're also going to be talking about some more additional details with our new relief pitcher that we have signed. And we are going to be talking about the latest mock trade that is being thrown around and see if there's any merit in it, if it's a good idea, or if it's trash. And spoiler alert, if you're just listening to this, I made a very ugly face. Anyway, let's get into it. So earlier this week or last week, I can't remember, it's been a long week, the MLB Network released the list of all the top second basemen in the league. And it wasn't a huge surprise to see Ketel Marte at the very top of that list as the number one second baseman in baseball right now. This is his second time being on top of that list. He also was on the top in 2022, I want to say it was. So Ketel Marte getting the respect, getting the love that he deserves. Super happy to see it. They also posted the top 10 starting pitchers I saw. I wasn't heartbroken to see that we didn't make that list, but they were coming around to shortstop, and I'm like, shortstop. Now, listen, I wasn't necessarily counting on Geraldo Perdomo making the number one spot. Don't get me wrong. I do think that there is at least one player that deserves the number one spot that isn't Geraldo Perdomo, though I think he definitely has. I mean, I think he makes a case for the number one spot, but you know, it should be close, right? Well, apparently not, because the number one went to, unsurprisingly, this was fine, Bobby Witt Jr. on the Royals. I think he is probably I think he definitely deserves that spot. Good for him. But, next, maybe Geraldo Perdomo. Well, no, next is Corey Seager, which he's good. Don't get me wrong. But then it's Francisco Lindor. Then number 4 is Gunnar Henderson. And then number 5 is Mookie Betts. And then number 6 is Geraldo Perdomo. Geraldo Perdomo got 6th on this list, which is kind of funny because if you look, there's some inconsistencies here, because when MLB Network gave us the top 100 players overall, Geraldo Perdomo ranked 24th on that list. And then 26th and 27th were Henderson and Seager. So by that logic, Perdomo should be above Henderson and Seager. So it should be Bobby Witt Jr., Francisco Lindor, Mookie Betts, and then 4th Geraldo Perdomo, and then Henderson, and then Seager. But instead, Seager's at number 2, Henderson's at number, it's all over the place. It's not even close. They're all out of order. Which not really sure what is going on with that. I'm not sure what metrics they're looking at, but if they're looking at the 2025 metrics, which they should be, right? Perdomo shouldn't be in 6th. He should be, and there are people who are saying, well, okay, other than Seager and Henderson, this makes sense, right? Well, if you look at Geraldo Perdomo, for example, let's start here. And obviously, I mean, I'm cherry picking here, so don't get me wrong, but this is just, it's right in my face. This is just what it is. Perdomo has a 7.0 WAR in 2025. He played in nearly every single game. He had 20 home runs, a batting average of 290, and 100 RBIs, and then 27 stolen bases. Then let's go ahead and look at Corey Seager, who got the number 2 spot, right? He has a 6.2 WAR, which obviously WAR isn't the only metric they're looking at. So I understand it's a little lower, but all right, let's keep going. He has 21 home runs, so a little bit better. But his batting average is 271, significantly lower than Perdomo's, and he only had 50 RBIs. And I believe he only played in 102 games, which you could say, well, he would have more home runs and he would have had more RBIs if it wasn't for that. Yeah, but also maybe that should play a factor, I think, right? A player plays the entire season, they're worth more than a player who doesn't play the entire season. I don't know. That's just my thought. So Corey Seager, I don't think he's as good as Geraldo Perdomo. Gunnar Henderson. Let's look at Gunnar Henderson. He's a 5.3 WAR, considerably less. He had 17 home runs, a little bit less. Batting average, 274, considerably less. RBIs, 68, considerably less. The only thing he has more than Geraldo Perdomo's stolen bases at 30. That's it. And I know there's additional metrics. There's other numbers to look at, but like honestly, even those, I mean, Perdomo outpaces both of these guys easy. But okay, now let's look at some other ones that people are saying, well, those are well deserved. Mookie Betts, who I like Mookie Betts. He's a great baseball player, and he seems like a really great guy as well. Playing for a terrible team, that's his big downfall there. But he's gonna have to answer for that when he goes upstairs, if you know what I mean. But that's okay. He had a 4.9 WAR, way less. He had 20 home runs, same number as Geraldo Perdomo. A batting average of 258. 82 RBIs, 8 stolen bases. None of these are even close. And it's not like his season was even riddled with injury. He played 150 of 162 games. But also, like, Mookie Betts, I don't feel like, I mean, just watching this last season, wasn't really quite himself this last year anyway. He's been the best by far, but he just wasn't this last year. So I don't know why he's ahead of Geraldo Perdomo. Well, let's keep going. Francisco Lindor. I think Francisco Lindor is the first one that sort of makes sense. He only had a WAR. He had a WAR of 5.9, which again, I should say, is amazing. Like, that's a great WAR. That's a great stat right there. But it's considerably less than Perdomo. He had 31 home runs, though, which is considerably more than Geraldo Perdomo. So he's got him beat there. His batting average is a bit lower at 267. Again, Geraldo Perdomo's was 290. So quite a bit lower there. And then he had 86 RBIs. So Francisco Lindor, I wouldn't even say is like a clearly better than Geraldo Perdomo this year. I think he has a case to be better, but I don't even think that I would necessarily, like, if I was an impartial judge just looking at the stats, yeah, I'd be like, no, Perdomo's got it. Like, Lindor was an all-star. Perdomo wasn't, which is another thing that maybe we should be talking about, but whatever. But finally, okay, let's look at Bobby Witt Jr. Bobby Witt Jr. had a WAR of 7.1. He's the only shortstop with a higher WAR than Geraldo Perdomo, and it's by 0.1. He had 23 home runs, just 3 more than Perdomo. He had a batting average of 295. He's also the only one to have a higher batting average than Perdomo by 0.005. And then he had 88 RBIs and 38 stolen bases. So about 10, was it 10 more than Perdomo? 11 more than Perdomo. Bobby Witt Jr. is the only one that I'm like, yeah, okay. He should get it up. He should get the spot over Perdomo. But that's it. Like, Perdomo should easily be the number 2 on this list, right? And this doesn't matter. This list is not. Nobody's getting any awards. Nobody's getting any bonuses, or it doesn't. This is it's completely pointless. It doesn't mean anything. But come on, right? Am I the only one seeing this? Like, please let me know in the comments if you're with me here, or let me know in the comments if I'm missing something. Obviously, he doesn't have the same star power that any of these other guys have, and I guess that's why. That's the only reason I can think of. Because Corey Seager, Mookie Betts, Gunnar Henderson, I don't know why they got above Geraldo Perdomo. None of those make sense. Francisco Lindor, maybe. But yeah, the list should be Bobby Witt Jr., then Geraldo Perdomo, who was 6th, then Francisco Lindor at 3rd, which is where he was. Then, I don't know, Mookie Betts, and then Gunnar Henderson, and then Corey Seager. Like I honestly, I'm like, was there a typo? Like, did somebody mess something up and now they're like, well, we already posted it. We can't. But we'll just pretend this is how it was always going to be. Because yeah, Perdomo should be number 2. I don't know how he isn't. So anyway, but that is, I mean, it's a good thing, I guess, because the D-backs play best when there's a chip on their shoulder. Geraldo Perdomo is going to go into this next season. Everybody's expecting him to have a bit of a regression. But if he can go out there and he can continue to play at the same caliber that he was in 2025 and even better, maybe, then there's no denying it. There's absolutely no way you can deny if Geraldo Perdomo is able to play at the same ability level, at the same capacity that he was playing in 2025. But now we have another addition to the team we talked about yesterday, but now there is some new information that that gets me pretty excited about where this is going. So stay right there. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time offer, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year. Just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your next appointment today. And we're back, and I want to say, as always, thank you so much for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen of the day. It means the world to me. It means so much to see how many people tune in and comment and engage on the videos, which is really the only place I see the engagement. But also, if you're just listening to this over the radio or in your headphones or whatever, thank you so much for making this a part of your day. Thank you also for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. And if you haven't already, go check out the new Everydayer Club. You get access to ad-free audio, or I keep saying ad-free audio. I don't know why I keep saying that. Access to ad-free audio, podcast audio. That's what it is. For Locked On Diamondbacks, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. You also get an invite to a members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of Locked On Diamondbacks. I'm in that Discord channel. I'm in the server, hanging out, having a good time, talking baseball. It's a fun time. Go to lockedondiamondbacks.supercast.com or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. Anyway, let's get down to it because the Diamondbacks signed, this broke yesterday, but the Diamondbacks signed a right-hander right-hander Derek Law to a minor league deal. And usually these minor league deals are pretty insignificant, I guess you could say. However, he is going to be earning a base salary of $1.5 million, which is pretty high for a minor league contract. And he's going to be getting incentives of up to $500,000. Basically, when he hits 20 appearances in the majors, he will get an additional $50,000. And then when he hits 25, then 30, then 40, then 45, each of those, he will get another $50,000. And then finally, if he hits 50 or 55 for each of those, he will get an additional $100,000. So the Diamondbacks clearly have some inkling that he is going to be in the majors and that he's going to be playing a lot. And he's going to be making a lot of appearances. At least that's what they're wanting. That's what they're hoping for. So this is more than just a minor league deal and saying, hey, you're, come to spring training. We'll see what happens. It sounds like they're pretty keen on making that happen. They're offering quite a lot. And then put it in perspective, Taylor Clark, who was signed recently and is on the 40-man roster, he is making $1.55 million. Whereas Law could be making up to $2 million. So they're actually paying him more, assuming he makes his appearances, than Taylor Clark is going to get paid. And as a reminder, Derek Law had a phenomenal 2024. After struggling for most of his career, he had a phenomenal 2024 and then was out all 2025, which is why I imagine he hasn't been picked up by any other team. So he, I guess good for us because we get him on a pretty good deal. But in 2024, he was on the Nationals all year, and he had a 2.60 ERA in 75 games. That is 90 innings pitched, 90 innings even, which, if you do the math, which I can do in my head, I am not pulling out a calculator. If you're just listening to this, I promise. That is 90 divided by 75. That is 1 2/3 innings pitched on average. So not, but wait, that's not right. 1.2 innings. So that's probably 1.1. That's right, because we don't do math in 0.1, 0.2. And that's it. So never mind. But that's 1 1/3 probably on average per outing. So, which a lot of relief pitchers, it's roughly the same. For example, in 2023, he had a 3.6 ERA in 54 games where he pitched 55 innings. So 54 to 55, pretty close. But 2024, big improvement. He also, let's go and take a look at his other stats as well. Strikeout per 9, 7.6, not crazy high, but good, not bad. And then his walks per 9, 2.4, which is good. The year before, it was a 4.3. So he went from 4.3 all the way down to 2.4. So his command was really getting honed in. Home runs per 9, 0.7, also a big improvement. His ability to apparently command the ball and keep players from getting big hits. Sorry, I'm looking at the stats, and some terrible AI slop video was an ad was on the screen and it's distracting me. Are you guys sick of AI slop too? It's not just me, right? Like, it's ridiculous. It's all over. Anyway, thing that's annoying is that this isn't about baseball. The thing that's annoying is when it's big companies that are using it. And I'm like, don't you have money to like hire actors and stuff? But no. Okay. Anyway, sorry. That's all. I'm a video producer, by the way. So I make that's my job, is to make videos and commercials and advertisements and stuff. So I get particularly perturbed when I see that. But also, most people also get perturbed when they see it. So I'm not too worried. Anyway, what were we talking about? Yes. Laying down the law. That's totally going to be the thing that like Bob Brenly says, right? Like he comes out and he gets 1, 2, 3 inning, laying down the law. That's going to be awesome. So you heard it here first. That's what's going to happen. But that is dependent on him being healthy. That's the really big thing. In his, he's been on 6 different teams and 8 different seasons that he's played in. And of those 8 seasons, he has pitched in at least 50 games, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. He did pitch 41 games in his second season. So over 40 games, or over 40 appearances. He's only done that 5 times, sorry. So 3 seasons where he had a much lower season, and that's not even including 2020. He did not play in 2020. So that's not even one of those seasons. So a bit of a reason for concern, but again, for $2 million or $1.5 million, it's not a huge risk. And again, that has been Mike Hazen's angle at this offseason when it comes to building up his bullpen is they're looking for diamonds in the rough. They're looking for those hidden gems. And you aren't going to get very many. Like you sign a dozen people, maybe one of them, maybe 2 are going to be hidden gems. But if you sign a few dozen, you sign 2 dozen, 3 dozen, whatever, I don't know, then you end up with a bullpen full of hidden gems, people that were written off and have an outstanding year. And then you add that to our group of guys who have the talent and have the means to become something great, but you don't want to rely on them. Philip Abner, I think I'm excited to see what he's going to do. Taylor Rashi, I'm really excited to see what he can come up with. But the whole bullpen should not be resting on them, because when that happens, they're going to implode because they're going to be overworked. They're going to start getting injured, and they're not going to be able to grow. They're not going to be able to become something better because they're just getting demolished every single game. So that extra depth, I think, is going to prove to be a really big game changer. And so long as they can see significant improvement in the bullpen and the offense can continue to come and deliver as it did last season, which I expect it will, maybe not quite as much as it did last year, but still, I do expect it to be a top 10 offense. Then, yeah, I think we have a pretty darn good shot. A lot of estimates are putting the Diamondbacks hitting right at 50-50 right now. Most outlets are thinking that it'll be Dodgers, then Giants, then Padres, then Diamondbacks. I think we can beat that. But I hope that that's something that is on the billboard, or not the billboard, on the cork board inside of the office, inside the locker room, and they're going, that's what they all expect from us. So I think I think it's going to be better than that. So anyway, but some outlets, some places are thinking, ooh, but the Diamondbacks need one more little piece to their puzzle. They need one more little thing to make it work. And here's how they're going to make it happen. Well, guess what? We're going to talk about that right now. A little mock trade time. And I don't know about this one. Now, over on sportingnews.com, with an article titled "Proposed Diamondbacks Trade Lands Them a 4-time Gold Glove Award Winner." Oh boy. Okay, let's look at this. Well, what position is this in exactly? Okay, well, let's see. It looks like they could use a frontline starting pitcher. They could use more pop at first base. They could use another late inning reliever, and could use more consistency in the outfield. Okay, all true. And then it's like, well, to help with the outfield consistency, it's like, okay, all right, that's the least of what we need, but let's go for it. Bleacher Report's Kerry Miller suggests a potential trade with the Cleveland Guardians. We've talked about this before on the channel. Sending them outfielder Ryan Waldschmidt, our number one prospect, by the way, who is an outfielder, who is likely to appear this season, and left-handed pitcher Cole Drake, one of our top prospect starting pitchers that we're kind of relying on in the future, in exchange for four-time Gold Glove Award winner Stephen Kwan. So do you want to trade two pivotal members of your future for Stephen Kwan? Let's see, how much of his contract is left? He's going to be a free agent in 2028. So you'll have him for maybe 3 years, assuming that you have a 2027 season, which that shouldn't be a real motivator, but whatever. He had a fine season last year. He was an all-star. He had 3.7 WAR. He had 11 home runs. He had a batting average of 2.79, OPS of 7.05, but an OPS plus of 96, which puts him at 4 points below average. Do I have to say it, or do you guys want to say it? That's not a good trade, like, at all. Like, I mean, like, it's probably a good trade on paper of like these two prospects for this one player, but it's not like it's not a good idea for our team. Like, whoever wrote this, who did it say it was? It was Kerry Miller from Bleacher Report. Clearly doesn't know what the Diamondbacks need, and is just kind of throwing stuff out there, which that's probably all that they're doing. It says Waldschmidt is probably still a year away from the big leagues. Yeah, fair. So the Guardians might not be all that interested in this package. It's them that's not interested in the package, which actually they probably wouldn't be all that much. But the theoretical value is about right. And the Diamondbacks would surely love to add an impact outfielder without running up against the luxury tax threshold. Oh my goodness, you are so right. Let's make it happen. This is a done deal. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so good for us. And there's another dumb AI ad playing in the corner. Man, there's ads. Such a problem. I need to install like an ad blocker or something. And then they said, and then the article says, the problem with this trade is that Cleveland may not be interested in this package. They would be selling low on a player who has proved to be one of the most consistent in the outfield, which is true. Stephen Kwan's not a bad player by any means. I don't want to dish on him or anything. Not only that, but he is one of the key contributors that Cleveland has in a lineup full of question marks. So I guess if it wasn't for the Cleveland Indians, careful. I'll have to edit that out. The Cleveland Guardians not being interested, if it wasn't for that, man, we'd make this deal happen, wouldn't we? Because the Diamondbacks really want to give up Waldschmidt and Cole Drake for Stephen Kwan. The thing, and I think the reason I really wanted to talk about this is because Waldschmidt is kind of on the trading block a little bit this offseason. I think he still is, because maybe less so right now because we do still kind of need outfielders. But if we could trade Ryan Waldschmidt for a good, competent reliever or starting pitcher, I think we would do it. And it would have to be somebody. I think Mike Hazen is probably like looking for somebody who's kind of like where Zach Gallen was when we traded for him. Young, maybe not like blooming with, visible talent, but kind of where Brandon Pfaadt is almost a little bit, or where like Ryan Nelson was last year. Somebody where you're like, this guy has got a lot of good stuff and he's going to turn into a really good ball player, but maybe isn't like super visibly isn't like showing that 100% just yet. but somebody who knows, somebody who has a master pitcher developer as an assistant GM might look at and go, "Ooh, yeah, that guy's going to be great. He's not yet, but he will be. So offer them our number 1 draft pick for him. And then he's going to become our ace in the next year or two." Then that I can see happening, but there's no way we're going to trade our outfield prospect, Ryan Waldschmidt, for another outfielder. Like, it doesn't matter which outfielder you're talking about. That would be very weird. And I'm not criticizing Kerry Miller necessarily for suggesting this, but I do want to just point out how it's you can't read the news and these national writers as they go, "Ooh, you know what? The Diamondbacks could really use this guy, and he could trade this guy, and this is gonna." And then you go, "Oh my gosh, they're trading Ryan Waldschmidt, and they're gonna trade Cole Drake, and all this stuff." No, these guys don't really know. They're just throwing stuff at the wall, and it's not even good stuff. It's just kind of stuff. Anyway, that's what that is. So nothing really to think about, just kind of an interesting thing that I just wanted to point out because Ryan Waldschmidt is a very he is a very valuable piece of the plan, and so is Cole Drake. And so the idea of trading them for somebody like Stephen Kwan, who is a good player, isn't really an option. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Locked On Diamondbacks. We're on YouTube as well as every other place you get your podcasts. If you want to see more of me, you can find more of my YouTube channels and projects at my website, slackshack.tv. If you never miss an episode, you're a regular listener, I'm talking to you. The Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Diamondbacks ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedondiamondbacks.supercast.com to join the club. Thanks again, and I will see you on Monday.